Hi. Before we get started, I would like to thank Joe, James, Dawn, Stern J, and It Burns When I Pee. All of these people have gone to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and kicked us some money, and it really helps us out. You can be like them and go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and kick us some money. It helps us out, and you get cool stuff in return. Now on to the show.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about RollerCoaster Tycoon Classic, which is a management sim developed by Originate Technologies and published by Atari for the PC and mobile in 2016.
Yeah, this version of it.
Yes.
Even though it is just a updated version of an old game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a Cole Vanity pick.
This, indeed, it is. I love management sims. I can't play them normally recreationally because I fall into a hole with them. But by making it into work, I can indulge my compulsive play. And that is good to do every once in a little while. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because I have a quick change of the schedule. Next week we need to cover masturbating and overeating. Staring at a box of mini Nilla wafers. So this is a modern remake that combines. They have Nilla wafers and they have mini Nilla wafers.
Yeah, micro wafers.
I want them to have like macro wafers where you just open the box and there's just 3 of them.
It's like how shredded wheat used to come.
Yeah, like you cut them into little pie slices. Yeah, and you give your friend like a slice of Nilla wafer.
Yeah,
the size of a pizza.
You sit down in the restaurant and before you order, you even say, "I'll just take a macro wafer for the table."
Yeah, exactly. Be nice. Serve the first slice.
Yeah.
So this RollerCoaster Tycoon, not the macro wafer, copyright, patent pending,
TM.
Is a modern remake of these games that combines the mechanics, rides, scenarios of RollerCoaster Tycoon 1 and 2, which came out in 1999 and 2002, respectively.
Yes. And this whole series is about building and running amusement parks of various sizes and kinds. But there's this big focus on kind of this really crunchy physics sim roller coaster design.
Yeah. This game combines multiple game types, like similar to the Sims and stuff. Like this is a pretty robust, physics-based roller coaster designer, but it's also a park management sim. It's also a toy box.
Yes.
It's also a series of challenge scenarios. It does not have a story to it. So this episode is going to be covering those different aspects rather than talking about the story. So talking about your goals, the systems, how the systems interact, things you do to meet those goals, etc. It's good that there's a caveat in here because I know this game less than you do. And both of us know this less than the internet's greatest weirdos.
Yep. As will always be the case, there is always somebody who is more dedicated and knowledgeable than you. There are people who have broken this game apart. They have bent it over their knee like they were Bane and the game was Batman. And they've even gone down to like the code level to examine what happens and why. We are not that. I'm not even approaching that. Like, I'm pretty bad at this game when it comes to like beating the scenarios in a deadline and stuff. It's a very difficult game, you know?
Yeah.
So, understand that this is more of a kind of survey. There are so many resources, entertaining resources, even to kind of understand some of the deeper mechanics. Gary, you brought somebody to my attention. It's a YouTuber named Marcel Vos, VOS, who does these really great in-depth analysis videos.
Just incredible stuff. Amazing. He's the YouTuber that's featured on the recent No Clip documentary about the series, if you want to check that out.
Yeah.
Just incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Just very calming, relaxing voice, like huge Townsend vibes, but if Townsend was about roller coasters.
Yep.
In terms of just like the relaxation.
Yeah.
And just pointing out just endless weird quirk upon weird quirk. Like, I was watching some of those videos today just to review, and did you know that the length of your mini golf course is dependent on the first person who uses it? So if they suck at golf and have to walk back and forth between holes, that determines the length of the course for everyone who follows behind them.
Oh no! So like
it's so weird.
They set the par or something like that?
Yeah, they set the length. It's like physics. Like that is whoever is the first person. Everyone has to like go for exactly as long as they did.
Yeah,
it's very strange, but absolutely exhaustive. My favorite video by Marcel and my favorite like stunt thing that he did was create a roller coaster that's more than 100 years long.
Yep. Take that, Mr. Bones Wild Ride.
Yeah, it's like the Mr. Bones Wild Ride, but like way harder. Like it's such a funny little bit. We'll talk about that when we talk about roller coaster design.
Yeah.
A little bit. And Mr. Bones Wild Ride is also incredibly funny.
Yes.
Which is one of the things you may know. From this, even if you haven't played it.
Yeah. So those two caveats aside, also this is probably going to be a bit of a shorter episode. It's not like we are hitting beat by beat through a very complex story or anything. We're just going to have fun with it. Like a nice, fun day at an amusement park.
It's fine. It's, similar to like a Sims thing. Yeah. Like these kind of games they are just this pile of systems, but it's fun to dip in and have that experience with them just because it doesn't have a story structure.
Yeah.
I always pushing for the show to cover anything. I don't see why this should be different.
Yeah. No, I'd like to do more management sims in the future. Shit, man, enable me.
Like, hey, well, let me introduce you to my friends, the Herbs, on the DS. So what is you picked this? What is your history with this game in the series?
Yeah, so this is a game I never owned. It was running around on PC kind of prior to when I had a PC that was good enough to run it. Instead, this is a game that I played at friends' houses. This was just like a game that would attract a crowd. Like, oh, guys, I got RollerCoaster Tycoon. Do you want to come over and play? Design some roller coasters. See how it works. And because I am the stick in the mud that I am, like had fun making death coasters and stuff like that. I'm not made of stone. Everybody wanted to kind of just always mess around with the track editor. Which is a fun collaborative thing, and you can sit down and, say, oh yeah, maybe a loop there. The secret is always a loop there. It doesn't matter if you get stuck more loops. Yes. Yeah. But I was really super interested in just like letting the park run and seeing if I could make it profitable and stuff like that. So I was I was a real piece of shit 14-year-old. I was a business monster already.
You want to do the sim part of it.
Yeah.
There's fun to be had there.
Yeah, it scratched an itch that like SimCity had scratched before it. And, theming matters, right? It accounts for something. It's fun to like build an aesthetically pleasing, varied amusement park experience, right?
And watch numbers go up.
Yes. Yeah. Always numbers.
Yeah. I played this, but I got it confused with the Bullfrog.
Oh, theme park. Yeah.
Theme park. So theme park was the one I played a lot more of. And I got them mixed up.
I played a lot of that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the one I had most of my history with. This I played when RollerCoaster Tycoon Classic open source.
Oh, yeah.
First kind of stormed the internet. but I was way rustier at this and way worse at it than I thought. All of my memories from theme park did not transfer over because they're pretty different games.
Yeah, yeah.
And I am just such absolute dog dick at designing coasters.
Yep.
So I not to shirk my responsibilities. I only did a couple that I tried to make.
Yeah.
And spent most of my time building cool looking parks.
Yes, same here, honestly. Like I did enough to feel like I could understand the system, but it's a very specialized skill. We have a whole section talking about it, but like, it is a good thing that they offer you such a wide variety of kind of pre-made, including lots of like real life coasters from Six Flags. It's crazy that the developers still have the license for that.
They didn't have the Six Flags that I used to go to.
No?
Six Flags Great America is the name of the one I went to. And I was really hoping it'd be there because that would be, that probably would have sent me into one of those dolly shots where I get closer to the camera, but the background gets further away.
We call that a Hitchcock push-pull. Yeah.
I would have got pulled by it. I would have just been like, whoa, thinking about that. So they didn't have that, but they did have a bunch of them that are fun to look at. And that kind of obsessive, kind of attention to realism and appreciation for this, just permeates the entire product in a way that's really charming.
Yeah, yeah.
Roller coaster and theme park enthusiasts are pretty fun. This is a special kind of dorky.
Yeah.
That I think is very sweet.
Agreed. Even though I don't like theme parks and roller coasters in general.
Never cared for myself. I don't like cake.
Yeah, I just like the pictures. Now this is a Lady Baltimore coaster. No, I've always gotten motion sick super easily, and also I don't like being hot and standing in line on concrete.
Oh, you don't like being dehydrated?
Yeah.
You don't like the smell of suntan oil and sweat and diaper?
Yeah, just banana boat and the tang of fresh vomit. Yeah.
Yeah. And the vomit of fresh tang if you go to the tang hut. I actually love theme parks and I love amusement parks, but I also developed motion sickness probably when I was about 30 or so.
Yeah.
Started getting motion sick pretty easy. And so I just like going there for fakey environments and walking around.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though the last time I went to Universal Studios, I did the roller coasters there and had a lot of fun.
Nice.
The trick for those was me just realizing, okay, nausea's coming on. I have to lock my eyes on something. And then, okay, nausea receded. Time to let myself get shaken up a little bit.
Yeah. It's one of those things when you grow up in Northern Ohio, you're really expected to love roller coasters because you're so close to Cedar Point. And I had a little bit of fun at, stuff at Cedar Point, but very quickly, by the time I reached maximum coastin' age, that's when they put out the Millennium Force and Top Speed Dragster and stuff like that. It was this race for the highest drops and the fastest max speeds. And you're just come on here if you want to have your retinas detached,
Yeah, you're like an intensity rating 5 guy.
Yeah. Intensity rating 5. I think that genuinely, and this makes me a real wuss, the roller coaster that I enjoyed the most was, what is it, Thunder Mountain at Disney World or something like that? It was a minecart ride. That rules.
Space Mountain?
No, it was a mining theme one. There's Space Mountain.
Okay.
Which was a little slow for me.
You can mine in space. I live in the neighborhood I live in now. I'm right across the street from Portland's old timey amusement park. Not right across the street, but pretty close to Portland's old timey amusement park. And it hasn't been open because of the pandemic, but that place is great. It's very charming.
Okay.
And it's just full of little miniature arcades and games and little mini rides and stuff. Old timey haunted houses. There's an old timey the crappy haunted house from The Simpsons.
Oh, behold the ravages of age.
Yeah, that kind of thing. You just do a cart through a one loop kind of thing. But that place is great. I'm looking forward to visiting there again in the future.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the series history of RollerCoaster Tycoon.
Yeah, this is the product of a lone Scottish weirdo. His name is Chris Sawyer. I say weirdo affectionately. He would probably, based on interviews and quotes that I've seen from him, self-apply that. He is a Scottish game programmer who kind of cut his teeth on British microcomputers in the 80s and 90s, and he really hit his stride in 1994 when he developed his first Tycoon game, Transport Tycoon, for Microprose. So he did that for her.
Yeah. And I played a little bit of Transport Tycoon as well when I was younger. It's not like maybe I accidentally played Bullfrog's like bus, and that's what I think I played. Yep. But I think I played Transport Tycoon, where you maintain public transport infrastructure, moving people and goods. It's very singular as a game idea.
Yeah.
And just real quick, we're gonna say Tycoon a whole bunch of times. Yeah, that's real weird. Yeah, that has different kinds of connotations now. I feel like also it's just a silly word.
It is. Yeah. Definitely. What was it? Linguistically sated, I think, is the name for it. It was brought to my attention by Adam Bucheri, who texted me there, who replied to a tweet about how weird the word tycoon is. Yeah.
So that game was a huge success. So that resulted in Sawyer getting some money. He took some time off, and he took that time off to travel through Europe and the United States, going through amusement parks. Yeah, because he loved roller coasters.
Yeah, well, he hated roller coasters, but by the time he got finished doing this trip, he loved them, at least according to his own kind of description. But he kind of developed an appetite for them. And decided, hey, roller coasters, not that different than trains. I think my next project is going to be a theme park sim, and I'm going to call it White Knuckle. And then very wisely, before it comes out, I'm going to not call it White Knuckle.
Yeah, White Knuckle. It sounds like a horrible parlor game or something.
Yeah.
Like something that if you go to a boys' prep school, they do you on the first day.
Oh, no.
So the development team of this was very small. Chris Sawyer was the sole designer and programmer, basically, which is absolutely wild. The graphics created by Simon Foster, the sound and music created by Alistair Brimble. Great name.
just the most Scottish name I could think of, actually.
Really, really good. It's like, it was the sound and music was done by a cartoon squirrel. So and he did 99% of this on his own in assembly language, which is apparently very impressive.
It's ridiculous. So that's a low level, like computer language. I'm only barely literate in this kind of stuff, but the lower level the computer language, the more like directly you are speaking the computer's language. So like assembly, it's not quite ones and zeros. That would just be like machine code or machine language or whatever. But like assembly it would be like how you program like manufacturing robot arms in the 1980s is what that would be. But it's like you are kind of manually moving stuff around between like memory registers and stuff like that. Most developers in like 1999 would be like working on a hip new programming language called C++. And Sawyer was like, hold my beer, I'm going to make this run on damn near anything. So really impressive.
It had tons of knock-on effects. Like not only like when they took it over, they were able to make it run on almost anything because of this, but also it looks good and moves and is very complicated and it doesn't affect performance. Yeah, because of this.
You have so many moving parts on this thing,
and it's like pretty stable and low on glitches because of that. So big part of its success.
Yeah. So he had some friends and family play test the game, and he decided, all right, I've got something here. Might not be ready to sell, but I will make a deal with Hasbro. They're going to buy this thing. They're going to make sure that it gets a proper testing cycle and a proper release. And it was massively successful. He ended up making $30 million in royalties, which is unimaginable.
He also, we're going to talk about this. He also retired to the offline colonies, which I admire so fucking much now.
Yep.
He didn't begin the Tycoon games. Microprose published Sid Meier's Railroad Tycoon, which probably just really burned his biscuits as a transport tycoon guy. And this kind of became a way of describing building management sims. There's kind of two ways, either tycoon at the end or sim at the beginning.
Yep.
And those are the two different ways you can describe this genre.
It became a way you could title your game to make it seem like it was also made by the competent developers who made that other game you really liked. That was really popular. no, this isn't shovelware.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they just flooded the market, most of them being of, really mediocre or bad quality. Like Zoo Tycoon is good. But that is like the only one that I know of that has like a really good reputation. Donald Trump got a video game proving that he's fucking inescapable. Donald Trump's Real Estate Tycoon in 2002 at the nadir of his career, where he should have stayed. Yeah, but
should have. Yeah, anything would have gone great there.
Yeah.
I wonder if like all the MAGA chuds and shit know about this and got really into it. Like there's a bunch of like, based Pepe on YouTube who's doing, who's the Marcel Voss of Donald Trump's Real Estate Tycoon.
Yeah.
Play. This trend mostly ended in the 2000s. Some kind of like lower tycoon games trickled in afterwards, and it ended up like landing a lot on mobile actually.
Yeah.
Which ties into the story as well. So there are 2 expansion packs released for the first game, which featured new scenarios and ride types back in the expansion days. And Sawyer took what he learned from the first one and developed RollerCoaster Tycoon fairly quickly. This has more features, more rides, but it keeps the same basic thing. The same basic simulation. It's just the good version of it.
Yeah.
Basically. And like he's said on record, like, hey, I made the version of this I wanted to. It was RollerCoaster Tycoon 2.
Yes.
It's part of why I stopped this genre, because I achieved my vision.
Yeah. I climbed the hill I wanted to climb. I'm really proud of what I did, basically, which is admirable, right? Get there and then hand it off. Unfortunately, you hand it off to a bunch of people who are going to run it into the ground, and also stiff you out of a bunch of money. Sawyer fell out of the industry for a very long time after this. He kind of gives 2 reasons for this. One, he was disenchanted with just the absolute prevalence of violent games. Didn't like that there were so many shooters out there. And also he was in a bitter lawsuit with a bunch of people. So the RollerCoaster Tycoon brand changed hands very frequently between Microprose and Hasbro and Atari. Somewhere along there, he stopped getting money from it and like, hey, I should probably still be getting money from this. And it took an awful lot of time and resources to straighten that out.
So these got worse and worse. And the reason they got worse and worse is because they were just kind of passing the name back and forth, the brand back and forth between these different companies, and making crummier versions of it. RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 came out in 2004, and Sawyer was only a consultant on it. And after that, we got a series of dressed-down mobile ports and microtransaction-rich mobile ports and an on-rail shooter.
Yeah.
Like the roller coaster in Final Fantasy VII, I guess.
Maybe.
No thanks.
No, thank you. RollerCoaster Tycoon World, which was kind of hailed as being the the next big thing, had a really botched launch. I believe in like 2014, 2015, something like that. Just like very little good associated with the RollerCoaster Tycoon has happened, aside from the fact that Sawyer came back to the industry in 2013 with a mobile port of Transport Tycoon. That's actually how I first played that. It works really well. It works really well on iPad at the very least. And ultimately he did RollerCoaster Tycoon Classic in 2016. That was on mobile, and then it was released over on PC, which is how I played it for the show here. He had to program them from the ground up again in C to make this happen. So 2 very impressive programming feats.
Yeah. We mentioned RollerCoaster Tycoon open source version. Our Open RCT 2 came out in 2014. That is a great way even to play this, instead of playing classic. Like, it was good that we supported the devs and gave them money and everything. There are a lot of quality of life things in Open RCT 2 that I missed this.
Yeah.
And the company that made RollerCoaster Tycoon 3, the team rather, went on to kind of redeem themselves. RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 is not supposed to be very good, but they released Planet Coaster in 2016, and people love that game.
Yeah, it's like a real passing of the torch kind of moment, actually. And I fired it up, and it's good. Like, it's, nice to be able to navigate in 3D and actually be able to see what you're doing.
Yeah, I believe it. I've not played Planet Coaster, but I am interested.
Yeah.
So the classic WAF thing of me being like interested right now and then probably not having time to get to it before I move on to the next WAF game.
Right.
But right now it's like, ooh,
I still want to design some theme parks. Yeah.
Yeah. Me just staring at the like spiritual successor to, what is it? Dungeon Master.
Oh yeah. That just came out here recently, didn't it?
Yeah,
Keeper Story or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Dungeon Keeper is what you're thinking of.
Dungeon Keeper. I'm sleepy, everybody.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
So let's talk about this game.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
We should talk about what the game looks and plays like, because this is going to be something that, be the first thing you notice, but also it's going to kind of be maybe a barrier to entry because it was outdated even at the time that it came out. The original one came out in 1999. And games were moving to 3D at that time, and this is very much, it's a 2D isometric game. Like everything is rendered as a sprite view of a 3D object that you can rotate 90 degrees. But sometimes, and in fact, I'd say more than half the time, if you're building in a crowded park, you're not going to be, and no view is going to show you what you need to see.
That is my number one thing that interfered with my enjoyment of my time with this, where like I would put down a coaster and sometimes legitimately be like, where the fuck is the entrance to this? Mm-hmm. Like, I have no idea where is this stuff?
Yeah.
Like just getting that detail, and you can zoom in, but only having those 4 angles hurts more than you might think.
Yeah.
For this type of game. Luckily, everything is built on a grid, so there is a kind of a guideline for that. But because you're working in 3 dimensions, there is a little bit of guesswork involved in terms of which way things will end up facing or what exact angle things have to be, especially once you start dealing with changes in elevation.
Yeah, I made a lot of accidental Monument Valley levels before I got a hang of it.
Yeah, a constantly non-Euclidean park, like just absolutely, so that was a huge bummer.
So just a big onboarding period to kind of get over that initial hump, and I remember it being awkward back in the day too. As you mentioned, you have really wide levels of zoom. You can go into the level of individual guests. You can zoom back out and see your entire park at a glance. Like no resolution is added. Like at the highest level of zoom, you have big blocky pixels, which is fine. But like we said, foreground objects get in the way. And that is a problem with varied terrain. Like you said, elevation problems end up being a thing. And that is like factored in. Like that is an element of the difficulty. As the scenarios march on, you end up developing in more and more hostile kind of territory. More hills, more valleys, more rivers and stuff like that. And there's
it's a part of like elevation changes and stuff are things that your coasters are rated on.
Not
like
mine. Low and slow, baby.
You're incentivized though to engage with this shit.
Yeah.
And also, the way that things in the foreground will get in the way, your rides will have better ratings if they like intersect with each other.
Yeah, if they're tangled up. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is so fucking hard to do. Mm-hmm. Like I get it. I understand that it's not like it's impossible. It's just tricky.
Yeah, it would be difficult in real life, and it's difficult here. Yeah, because
I also did a lot of low and slow BBQ rides. You know,
yeah.
just how flat can I make this land before I even start?
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, most of the budget for any like big construction project that I tried was in terraforming, which is not a
Yeah.
very good way to spend your money, actually.
Mm-mm.
Oh, but yeah, like learning to do this is a lot like learning to be really good at a CAD program, you know, just in one of those real crunchy programs where like, you know, you have 4 different windows up that show you different axis views of whatever you're working on, you know?
I needed undo button in this more than I needed air and water.
Yep.
Because of this element we're talking about.
Yep.
You don't sell things for the same price you buy them.
Some mistakes are costly.
So, yeah, the things are costly. So it's not like The Sims where it's like, oh, if I'm in build mode and I buy something, I can just sell it again for the same cost. You know, nope. If you do this wrong, it just costs money.
Yeah.
You will end up in absolutely ludicrous scenarios in this where you are building a roller coaster and you're doing a little section of terraforming and coaster building with months between the different elements of it because you have to sit there and wait for it to rain to get money.
Yep.
And it needs an undo button so bad, and I cannot believe they didn't include one. That has to be intentional. Like it is a feature of everything at this point. And, you know, Chris Sawyer, when he talks about interviews and everything, he believes that scenario play is the true way to play this game. And I can imagine him just thinking like, no, that's part of the game, like carefully planning this and getting this right. That's the game.
I understand I need to plan ahead, but also like there's a difference between I planned poorly and, oh, that didn't lay down the way that I expected it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that stuff is that's maddening. What it ends up meaning for me in terms of when I'm playing it is before I start a project, I save.
Yep.
And then I make the project, and then whenever I get to fuck up, I start over.
Yes.
And so I don't lose anything except for time, but boy, do you lose time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that happened less and less as I went on, you know, so I imagine if somebody went through that process a long time ago, they probably think, oh, you guys are splitting hairs. It really is pretty hostile when you get in.
At least initially.
Yeah. We talk about scenarios. So out of the box, there is no straight up like sandbox mode in this where you just sit down with no goal and like a starting amount of money and a wide open field where you can build whatever you want to. Everything in RollerCoaster Tycoon is organized into scenarios.
Yes. And again, that is philosophically what Chris wanted. He's on the record of that.
Yeah.
These are organized by difficulty classes, and you unlock new scenarios by completing previous ones. What happens is you get dropped into an existing park space. Either there, some degree of it is built, even if it's just very little. And you have starting conditions, restrictions, and different goals.
Yes.
And they kind of adjust different sliders to make things more difficult or easy. So if you have lots of space, that tends to be easier. If you have a very small footprint, that's much more difficult.
Yeah. You have to really work to optimize the space, especially if you're working with a goal that requires you to fit a lot of people into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we talked about terraforming. Terraforming is very expensive. Even just getting rid of trees and stuff can be very expensive. So yeah, that is a bummer.
They do the Sim City thing where some of the scenarios you can get into are fully built, but they're built very poorly. So you can get into like an existing park that is extremely poorly optimized and say like, hey, turn this park around. And that often involves ripping out old things and kind of like making it smoother or putting in better rides, etc. I thought that I would not care for those, but I actually do like them. It's a little bit like, oh yeah, like rewriting is fun as opposed to like sitting down and staring at a blank page. Like basically my arc with the scenario play was I initially was really put off by it, but as I kind of like caved to the developer intent, I started getting fond of it.
Yeah, I was okay with it. I could not imagine sitting down and just doing all the scenarios.
No.
The later ones, which I've read about more than I've poked at, because I didn't unlock them, just seem like nightmares to me. and the way that this is, I definitely engage with this more as a fun expressive tool than as a challenge.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I want to play with this.
Yeah.
When they do those scenarios, there also can be these different restrictions in terms of that expensive shit you can do. So you might not be able to take down trees.
Yep.
Or alter the terrain. Like, this is a special hill. Don't terraform this. Veterans are buried there. That kind of thing.
Right.
Or like, you can't tear down Old Woody. That coaster's been here since the turn of the century, and it's this like garbage death trap that requires fixing every 10 minutes.
Right. Just a real sap, especially if it's an older coaster and it's gigantic, taking up space and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. So like, I was impressed by the sheer number of ways that they could complicate your life. Even before you get into the goals and stuff.
Yeah. These goals, each scenario has its own goal, and you'll usually have a deadline. Not always. There are ones where you have all the time in the world. You just have to get there, but they have other restrictions to make that difficult. And you have a season, you have years, but you have years that you go between March and October, because they're not open during the winter,
of course.
And you usually have a certain number of years for this.
Yeah.
And these goals can be things like having a park rating, which is an overall score that takes the whole park into account. That's really tricky. This tended to be, fairly reliable to me. To get, a certain number of guests, which was real tricky.
Yeah.
Depending. Or a certain park value, which is the cost of everything that's built in the park.
Yeah. Those ones usually involved me just panic buying a bunch of stalls and a bunch of thrill rides at the very end. Like, it doesn't matter if they're connected and if people ride them. Papa's gotta get over the $300,000 mark, baby.
Yep. So this money that I have in just liquid form is now going to become in haunted house form. I'm just going to put 20 haunted houses off the map.
Yep.
Like, out to the side.
Yeah. Oh man, it's the next big thing. Buy the dip. Yeah.
Yeah. The haunted house designer.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Haunted House Tycoon?
Please and thank you. Yeah. Little first person walkthroughs and stuff. Shit.
Yeah.
You just came up with a really good idea, dude. TM.
Sometimes when I say an idea like that, somebody just tweets me and is like, hey, somebody's already done that, you dingus. So that's what I'm hoping for now.
Yes, please.
Minus the dingus part.
Of course, there's no need to be rude. Yeah. So you also start with different amounts of money. Sometimes it's in loans that need to be repaid with interest, and the payments are made automatically each month, causing a drain on your net profits. So you always want to be mindful of your overhead.
Sometimes you don't have to pay back your loan. So, and you can just increase your loan and take out more money in the beginning.
Yeah.
In order to kind of achieve your building, but slow and steady is what they want you to do.
Yeah.
As we mentioned before, Chris Sawyer doesn't like the toy box modes. He thinks that just building without having a goal is the wrong way to play. And he doesn't want them in the game. He thinks that, you should have a goal, a scenario to go through. He spent a lot of time trying to thwart ways to hack endless modes into it. But these, always failed, these thwart things. And this ends up not actually mattering that much, because when you achieve your goal, you don't have to stop playing.
Yeah.
So you can just keep going if you want to keep your park going and keep expanding it. There's also an early scenario that is basically an empty park.
Yeah.
So that's the closest thing to just kind of a build your own fun section. It just also has, fail conditions.
Right.
Or at least success conditions.
Which you can safely ignore, unless you get too super worried about a game yelling at you after you've played it for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about kind of your goal as you begin designing and laying down your park. I kind of have laid out kind of a broad kind of flow of things that you should be concerned about, ultimately ending with developing your own coasters and stuff. But that's kind of dessert. You need to start thinking about your guests and stuff. Starting with the basics of the park. You have an entryway, the guests will start arriving through there. The rate at which guests arrive depends on a bunch of things. depending on like whether you've added new rides, whether you have a marketing campaign,
advertising campaign.
yeah, which they really nestle it away in there like Canada. Yeah,
Yeah, you have to use it. There's that one late game scenario where you can't advertise.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a guide on how to do that, and that is such a wild idea to me. Where there's a roller coaster, there's like a theme park out there that's super popular, but there are no advertisements for
it's
it.
a speakeasy.
You just have to know. Yeah, like a white knuckle speakeasy. You know?
Oh no!
Yeah, that's what happens the second day of the children's boarding school.
Gotcha.
So there'll be different types. You still have to always attract guests. When you start off, and you're doing scenarios, you tend to be in two different types of parks, either charge for entry or charge per ride. Charge per ride is a lot easier.
Yeah,
I found. And you can pause things to get a look at the lay of the land, but you cannot build while you're paused. Which again is very tricky. I understand the point of that decision to make this more gamey, but it makes it hard.
Yes. So I found myself riding the pause throttle quite a bit.
Oh yeah. You want to be planning in your head a lot of this. So you create paths that lead to attraction. These paths can go up and down hills. They can extend across bridges or piers. And you need to have enough paths for traffic flow, or else guests will say the place is too crowded.
Yes.
You also can't just make big open paths that are too big, because guests will get lost as well. So they're not smart.
No. In fact, I mean, they're smarter than they used to be. Apparently, one of the big jumps from RollerCoaster Tycoon 1 to RollerCoaster Tycoon 2 was in guest AI. But yeah, they can get lost in a 2x2 square.
Yeah, because they just make a random choice when they come to a fork. Fools. They can also only hold one object at a time, so they can be like hungry and they can be eating and then complain that they're thirsty, but they're already holding a hamburger, which is such a funny idea to me. Like, aw, holding a burger.
We need to develop a straw that goes through the burger so you can take bites around it, but then sip. Yeah. Get on it, modders. So in addition to paths, you can lay out scenery and decoration. Scenery will affect your park rating and improve the mood of guests and improve the ratings of your rides. Like if you have like flower beds around your roller coasters, people will think the ride is more engaging, more exciting.
Yeah. There's some things that are in that kind of decor menu that are actually really mechanical, though.
Yeah.
The way that menu is laid out is really frustrating to me.
Yep.
So benches give your guests a place to rest, which allows them to reduce their nausea. So rides have certain nausea ratings. They get off the ride, they're feeling queasy. You don't want them to puke, because that creates puke. So you want them to be able to sit down.
Yes. Yeah. They will not sit down unless they are at the maximum nausea. So you're going to have a lot of people with green faces. Slightly green faces. If they're at the greenest face, I mean, they're just going to vomit where they stand and then walk forward through it. So
it's kind of like wade through it like Noah. You also want to build tons of trash cans, just like in real life, because this reduces litter.
Yeah.
When I am in a city and I walk like 3 blocks without seeing a trash can, I get so pissed. It's so dumb.
What do you expect to happen?
Do you want me to put this on the ground? Like, I don't want to hold this empty thing anymore.
No.
So create lots of those. In these path and scenery, what you're doing is you're guiding your guests to your attractions. More modern games have a lot more simulation in this aspect. I watched that No Clip documentary, and one of these, the Parkitect, which just came out, simulates the eye line of every guest to see what they can see.
So ridiculous.
It's really neat. This is not operating on that level.
No.
So you still need to place paths and kind of scenery to guide people to rides. You want to have their entrances and exits lined up so they can like exit a ride and see another ride to get on it. But it's more like manipulating kind of lemmings than it is really trying to make something that looks appealing.
Yeah, you're not designing for people.
Yeah. People will want to get, chow down a burger and then get on like the Pukinator and then, immediately piss and then drink a milkshake.
Yeah.
go in a haunted house. Like, it's just whatever's there if you line them up right.
Right. Yeah. So like oftentimes this involves like thinking about the order of your building like linearly, where, you know, you want to make sure that you place stuff in, you know, in order. Like we'll put a cash machine before a very expensive roller coaster, stuff like that. Right. Yeah. The attractions, you know, like you need to lay them out economically. You know, even on larger maps where you have room to sprawl is not necessarily a good idea to really spread stuff out, because a density of incident will keep the guests engaged more. And keep them spending money faster than if you have to, you know, force them to hoof it all the way across your map because you couldn't figure out how to economize.
Yeah. If they're walking, they aren't riding.
Right.
You know, and you want them constantly intergaged if you can. So as we mentioned before, you either charge at the gate or you charge per ride, and there are different advantages to each. If you charge at the gate, it means that all the rides are free, but it's a good way to maximize your guest count because guests will come in. However, unfortunately, even if they run out of money, they're not buying your burgers and sodas and stuff. They're just going to wander around and take up space and cause maintenance.
Yeah. So if you're optimizing for the number of guests, then that is the way to go. If you're trying to get money for a lot of building, then you want to charge for individual rides to cause your profits to grow very, very quickly. By default, when somebody runs out of money in the scenario, they can't do anything, so they leave. This was fixed in RollerCoaster Tycoon 2. Where you could research and get an ATM. You could get a cash machine. And people were happy they could go and withdraw more money, kind of keeping them around and keeping them profitable. And as you're doing this, you know, you want to make sure that you are pricing things at a reasonable point. Generally, the price you can set for each ride is determined by its excitement rating. We'll talk about those when we get to the rides. But just, you know, how appealing is this? How willing will people be to hand over $6 to ride this roller coaster? And that can change depending on like how long a ride has been around, what its history of deaths is, things like that.
Yes, yeah. In general, if something's new and shiny, you can charge more for it. But eventually, you know, those merry-go-rounds are going to cost 20 cents.
Yes, yeah.
in your park because nobody cares about them. The prices for goods and food at the different gift stalls have a fixed kind of range you can give them, and you can set them to be uniform throughout the park. But there's also a min-maxing you can do with this stuff. Like guests will pay more for a map further into the park. Which is pretty wild. Like, convenience fee. Like I didn't get one at the beginning.
Yeah.
You kind of experiment with this stuff though.
Yeah.
And, and you can get a little insight. You're not going blind because we do have a way to look at our guest, which are called peeps.
Yeah.
In this game.
Yeah. And the guests are simulated at an individual level. Like we said, they're relatively simplistic, especially in their decision making. But each of them has their own wants and needs. And something that I love, a window that I always have open, is basically the survey says window, where, you know, you can see like a list of every individual guest and what they are thinking, or you can look at the thoughts of every guest, which organizes the thoughts that they have from most common to least common. So this is a way for you to spot problems that you may not be able to see because your attention is elsewhere or because of the interface, right?
Yeah, for me, it was a lot of times during the interface. Like people would complain about vandalism, and it's like I haven't zoomed in on that specific park bench.
Yes,
you know, to see that it's broken. So this allows you to kind of change your priorities and solve problems. But these thoughts are also bespoke to an individual guest. So they have a preferred ride intensity and nausea tolerance. So a guest could say, one guest could be like, this ride is too boring. But that doesn't mean that ride is too boring in general. It means it's too boring for that specific guest. You kind of have to look at everybody and make decisions based on the trend.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. So, just kind of, I keep an eye at the top to see if there's a fire that I need to put out. And then just by keeping that window open, you're able to kind of notice trends over time. And like if something is working its way up the survey, then you know you can get ahead of that before it starts really becoming a drain on happiness, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
There are kind of 5 meters that pop up for these peeps. They have an energy meter, which is how fast they'll move through the park, and we want them to move fast. And they either arrive tired or get tired from walking. So this is perked up by giving them food and drink, which is also answered by hunger.
Yeah, they've got separate thirst and hunger. See also the discussion about the burger straw. High enough values of hunger and thirst will make guests seek out a food or drink stand, but they can only eat or drink one thing at a time, and it takes forever. And we didn't talk about this in the presentation, but the time scale on this is all messed up. An individual will spend years and years inside these parks.
Yeah, even if they're not going on torture rides. Like it's like basically how people go here for college or something.
My dearest Belinda, I am here at the electric fields. It has been 6 fortnights since I have started eating this burger.
You go for the slow burger, which I like, the quantum burger.
Yep.
They also have a toilet meter, which is when they have to go pee-pee or poo-poo. And if they can't get to a toilet, they just leave your park, which is polite of them.
Yep.
So you gotta build plenty of bathrooms,
Yep.
Which you can individually name, which I was having a lot of fun naming those, like, the Annihilator, and giving them like coaster names.
The Cyclone.
It's very, very fun. UFO explosion. It's just a bathroom.
God, I love naming stuff. Naming stuff has an effect on things too. Like if you rename a ride, people will be more interested in it.
Yeah, got to make the most exciting bathroom in the park.
Yeah, you can get an award for having the best bathrooms, like for having really good bathroom coverage. It's a golden toilet.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, as that meter comes up, they might take a ride on the Annihilator, aka the 2-stall.
Yep.
That I have near the entrance.
Yeah. And you can, like, people will gladly pay to go to the restroom, but I feel so ethically opposed to doing that. I have no problem charging $20 for an umbrella when it starts raining, but the idea of charging somebody 20 cents to rock a whiz, it just is so vile to me.
I know those things exist. I have used one of those when I was a real little kid. I remember the laundromat that my mom and I used to go to had a pay toilet. And it was just wild to see. And my mom would pay for it for her to use it and then like hold the door open. So I had to like sync up. So I had to pay once. It's like, ma'am, I'm 6. Like I don't, it's, I can't do this on demand.
No,
it's real weird as a thing.
But just like it seems to me that if you install a pay toilet, what you're asking for is for somebody to take a dump in front of the door.
Yeah.
Because that's how humans work.
I think I'll never pay to pee.
Yeah.
Now as an adult.
Yeah, probably.
Like on principle, I will just piss on the door or whatever. Like anything I can do to fuck over the people who decide to do that.
Become ungovernable. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's another meter for nausea. The nausea meter will fill up as people ride nauseating rides. As it grows, they're going to get sicker and sicker until they vomit on the footpaths. We talked about them just slowly overflowing and then continuing, feeling great, fresh as a rose, fresh as a daisy.
Time to rally.
Yep. Second wind, baby. But the other guests, they hate walking by vomit, which is understandable. So that needs to be cleaned up. Like we said, this can be managed by placing benches around, or RollerCoaster Tycoon added first aid stalls where people can go and have orange slices and water. Yeah.
Their most important thing is happiness, though. If they get their other needs met, they're riding on rides, they're having positive thoughts about the scenery, they're not, and the attractions, they're going to be happy. So they're going to stay longer, spend more money if they can. And this will have a huge effect on your park rating. Unhappy guests will just leave. And extremely unhappy guests who see that there's vomit and litter everywhere become vandals. So they break your benches and shit, and they drag down the happiness of other people around them.
Yes. So
you can rule your park with an iron fist and choose the order path.
You can turn it into a police state.
Yeah. You can do the law and order as opposed to the faith path if you'd like, and just have security guards everywhere to stop this. But that is more expensive than just not leaving vomit everywhere.
Yeah. They're just we'll talk about the staff, but the something I learned from Marcel Voss is that the security guards and entertainers are ways to treat the symptoms when it's cheaper to treat the core causes, right?
Yeah. The one thing I ended up having, like, I'm not at Marcel Voss's level. The one thing I had a lot of luck with that I read somewhere was put entertainers near the entrance of your park, because they give a little happiness boost to people leaving, which helps the park. And that seemed to, work to me. Like, the panda's going to say goodbye. That maybe this place isn't so bad.
Yeah. I mean, if a panda said goodbye.
Yeah. We talked about how dumb they are. For me, this mostly worked on any time I was trying to build an area and didn't like cordon off every possible way to get there. Then wandering into unfinished areas of the park and then getting off path and just kind of being lost.
Yep.
Like going off into the wilderness. And just, you have to find them and they're small and you pick them up with tweezers and put them back on the path.
That's so funny.
Because you're an omniscient God King in this. They're really, really silly though.
Yeah.
They don't go to, people go to a theme park, you have a plan. They do not have a plan.
No. That can be ameliorated by selling them maps that will help them make decisions at junction points, I believe. Okay, I'm hungry and there's food stalls to the right, so I'll take a right turn. Stuff like that. But
otherwise it's random.
Yes.
Like the default is they flip a coin if they get to a T intersection, which is incredible. You can actually trap them in a 2x2 grid because they just keep taking turns, like thinking, okay, this is going to lead somewhere without realizing they're walking in circles.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, and leads to when I would start up an existing park, one of my first things that I would do is oftentimes there would be paths that lead to nowhere. Like, okay, I've got to cut those off. Like I need to eliminate a couple of squares so that people will not just, spend their limited park time, and by limited I mean a couple of years, kind of like walking out and looking at the empty field.
By limited park time, you mean their sexual peak.
Yeah.
they spent in Mr. Cole's wild thrill zone.
Yep. Which at this point is mostly a big empty field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it when one of the things I noticed about those dead ends is like every once in a while you run into those in real theme parks. Like the Portland Zoo has a couple little like junctions where you go off one way and it just leads to like a big door that says "Do not enter." Like a big, it's like that's it. I'm like, why is there a path to this for me?
Yeah, you better put a sign there, dude. I know nobody reads the signs, but I do.
I'm lost. They also will end up having these really, really dire needs. So they're like, I'm hungry as hell, and there'll be a burger stand right there, and they just won't eat a fucking burger because they're already drinking a soda, or like their AI tells them that they need to go ride the Devastator or something like that. So that will bring down your park rating.
Yeah, which is a little bit frustrating, but also people deny themselves happiness all the time and blame it on you. Yeah. So.
To kind of help you in your journey with this, you can hire staff as well. You get paid slave wages.
Yeah, $40 a week for the for I guess. Well, they never leave and they don't seem to eat or drink, so
yeah, just they live there forever. They just use theme park script.
Grim.
So these kind of are different, there are different levels of importance. Probably most important of all are handymen, which are not, I think of the handyman as kind of a mechanic.
Yes.
But this is more of a janitor.
Right. So yeah, like they're custodians. They go around, they will clean up vomit, they will pick up litter, they will maintain any scenery that needs maintaining. So if you have flower beds, they'll water them. If you do not have enough handymen walking around and a lot of flower beds, they'll start wilting and dragging happiness down. Something that's important is, and it's good that this is off by default, but they can be set to mow the grass. However, having an unruly patch of grass somewhere in your park, it's a really marginal drag on happiness. So it's not worth hiring a handyman to do it.
It's all they'll do.
Yes.
There's a big change between RollerCoaster Tycoon 1 and 2 is the first one had that defaulted to yes. They have little zones
Yeah.
they have, and you can define their patrol routes. This is for everyone, but it's worth talking about here with handymen, because I found this also to be a little bit obnoxious, like ensuring I had coverage
Yeah.
for this. I wish this was a little bit smarter, or like there's a drag down. I could assign them to like certain rides or certain sectors or something.
Yeah.
A little menu, because making sure they're covering everything. Like you can end up with non-overlapping patches and just have like, oh, this area of your park is just dog shit. Nobody covers it. So it's bringing down my rating. And now I'm like scrolling around this isometric pixel thing, trying to find the zone.
Yeah. Trying to find the vomit alley that I accidentally created.
Yeah. Yeah. The horrible river, the lazy river that I made, the unadvertised secret menu ride.
Oh no. Fucking yuck, dude.
If you're at r/Gary's Park, you can see all the different people who work there complaining about the secret rides.
Yeah. So also important, if you're going to have any kind of rides that have moving parts to them, are the mechanics. You're going to want to have them around. They inspect rides to kind of do preventative maintenance on them, and then also fix them when they break down. Obviously, this is important because you want those rides up and making money for you, either directly by getting ticket revenue or by keeping people happy who want to ride them. Also, keeping your rides fixed reduces the chance that people will die.
Yes, because that's a really big deal.
Yeah.
As you might expect. The security guards we mentioned, they deter vandalism within a certain radius around them. And entertainers are people in panda suits who keep people happy. You want to put them along with TVs and long lines. You want to put them at your entrance to your park. But you can keep people happy and keep vandalism down in other ways.
Yeah.
So in optimal play, as we mentioned, you don't really need them. You can, each individual unit, each staff member, you can give them specific duties in addition to giving them like a patrol patch. So you can have a mechanic that's like, I'm the inspector, another mechanic that's I'm the repair guy. You can also set the timing intervals on when things are inspected, and setting those to pretty low was really successful for me.
Yes.
Just, inspect this stuff every 10 minutes because I don't want any more, no
more funeral processions, please. And thank you. Yeah. Generally the strategy that I followed, which I think was on the before I play, is that, you're going to have like few enough coasters that you can feasibly just hire a mechanic for each one and set their patrol route to be just around the footprint of the thing. That way they're always there and ready to inspect things and get them back up. That was a good way to go. And I would also like, just for a bank or a patch of stationary rides, thrill rides, gentle rides, I would just assign one repairman or mechanic for those. Yeah.
Which ends up working pretty well.
Yeah.
The economics of the game, so the sim part of it, you do have this little interface where you can look at your financial overview and check out your profit and loss, various projections. This is also where you take out loans, which will give you a big influx of cash, but make you have higher monthly payments.
Yes.
In terms of interest.
It was precisely because of this and the loans that you can take in SimCity that I actually learned about loans and interest rates. At too young of an age. Yeah. Thanks, school. You never taught me that.
Going with my just wanting to do funny shit in this, I was very disappointed. Like, I could not take out a marketing campaign for the Annihilator bathroom stall. Like free tickets on the Annihilator or whatever.
Do it like that grocery store, Jungle Gyms, where people go just to see the porta pot that turns into a nicer bathroom when you walk in.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to do. I just couldn't charge for it, and I couldn't do a marketing campaign on it.
Just to have people be pleasantly surprised by your squeaky clean, abundant bathrooms.
Incredibly thrilling bathroom.
Marketing campaigns, like I was having trouble meeting like scenarios that had guest goals without this. Once I discovered this, I mean, this is always a worthwhile investment. right? So there are 4 different kinds you can do. Like, you can advertise for your park or a ride, or you can give vouchers for free rides or food. This is a way to turn your short-term cash surplus into money down the line. And if I had money, if I had the couple $1,000 that it required over the course of the 6 weeks, I would always do it because it would always pay dividends.
Yeah. There's also a weird quirk in the engine where if you do a 2-week one, you get a week for free. So having one of these running most of the time is good.
Yeah.
It's a way to breathe life into old rides. It is a way to get people hyped about new rides. It is good.
Yeah.
You also have a research component. There's like a tech tree, sort of, in this, where you decide how much you want to invest at 3 levels into research in general and what kind of things are being researched just through boxes that you tick. The research happens randomly. So when a project begins, of the categories you have selected, one of them is rolled up and a specific attraction within that category is researched. So after a certain period of time, you will research things. And this is, really down to the level. Like initially things like info booths and stuff you have to research. So getting those basics, getting information booths, getting ATMs, things like that.
Yeah.
Really, really useful. And then you can switch it. If you want to just have transport rides and water rides, you can. But really, you're going to probably want some thrill rides and then coasters and miscellaneous.
Yeah. And obviously you want to change this over time as your needs develop. Sometimes you can get lucky and you find exactly what you want at the start, but it is a little bit of a slot machine kind of thing.
Yeah, which is a weird choice.
Yes.
And there's also the things that are available from the start are going to depend on the scenario as well. And sometimes those are randomized too. So like in a scenario, you'll either have a burger stand or a ice cream stand, unlocked by default, and you have to research the other one.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of a final financial consideration here. Some scenarios allow you to expand the footprint of your park in 2 different ways, either by outright buying parcels of land, 1 square at a time, which is extremely expensive, thousands of dollars just to add an extra row or column to your park. Or for less money, you can buy construction rights. So your coaster can actually extend out above a particular line. So if a neighborhood potentially wanted to build there one day, they would just have people screaming overhead every 15 minutes. Yep.
Screaming and crashing. I never thought about living under a roller coaster before. You didn't care for that.
No, just think about all the free shoes and sunglasses you would get.
Cell phones are popping. Yeah. This really brought down the property values when they installed the blood curdler.
Yep.
Above my house. So we talked about stalls are the words or is the phrase they use for like burger stands and various just little 1-by-1 things you can pop up. These are things that you use to plug holes, to boost happiness, and provide a little bit of extra income. And we talked about it a little bit. You have to price these things. You kind of have to ride the throttle. And the guests will get really unhappy if the items are very expensive.
Yes.
And will get less happy when they buy them. So, they're not going to love spending money on this, but they will do it. And they need food. So you have to manage them.
So, you have the leverage on them. Submit or starve. Yeah. For food stalls, like I was not able to, in any of my research, find an appreciable difference between them. No. It seemed like every food stall would eventually make somebody thirstier, and every drink stall would make the toilet meter go up. Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting too, because the way that guests will only hold one thing at a time. My impulse was to build like a food court.
Yeah.
Like I built lots in this, like built squares into kind of zones, but you really don't want to do too much of a food court because they can only do one thing at a time. So you really kind of want to spread these out, and it doesn't matter too much what they are.
Right.
Like
right.
a bathroom and a food thing every once in a while.
Yeah.
There are also some miscellaneous ones as well that are cosmetic things. So hats, sunglasses, and balloons that give you a little bit of happiness and make you a little bit of money.
Yeah. Just like there is special scenery that is mechanically important, there are stalls that are really important. We've alluded to all of these, toilets, cash machines, first aid rooms. The one that we haven't really talked about in depth is the information kiosk, which ends up being pretty important, which sells maps that will make their pathing a little bit less random and allows you to gouge for umbrellas.
Yeah, this is this is going to sound like an exaggeration, and with enough time, I would have been fine. Without gouging for umbrellas, that is how I passed a bunch of these scenarios.
Yep.
It was umbrella money. Guests will pay anything for an umbrella if it's raining. So you price your umbrellas fairly. Then when it starts raining, you mark them up to $20. That's the maximum, and you will just watch money go ding, 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 like, you'll just, like a slot machine paying
Ice cream man. Yeah.
It's exactly that. And you make tons of money. It's a way to make quick cash.
I mean, it's also important because rain will be a real damper on guest behavior too. And they will be more willing to go around and do stuff if they have an umbrella,
Yeah.
There are certain rides that are uncovered that they're going to say, hey, I'm not going to ride that when it's raining, but like they will move between the covered rides if they have an umbrella out.
And, they just gave you $20, which is great. So yeah, you got to gouge.
Let's talk about rides.
Lots of types, several different types. We'll talk about them specifically, but these are the things that are in general about them. They have 3 ratings: excitement, intensity, and nausea. You want high excitement. So excitement is always good. But intensity and nausea are, preferences, either a limit or a preference for each guest.
Yes. And you cannot really have an exciting ride if the intensity isn't high, and intensity will always bring nausea with it. So, if you are designing your own tracked ride, you're going to be trying to, kind of feather those values, keeping trade-offs in mind. But when you buy a preset ride, they're going to come with those. So, excitement is the important one. This is how fun the ride is. You can look on the wiki to see what goes into the calculation. It's actually pretty interesting, because it is a lot of different stuff, but it is more about optimizing for variety and reducing boredom and discomfort. And also the actual layout of everything around what is on that ride matters as well. People will not be happy riding, or they will be less happy riding a ride in an ugly part of your park.
Yeah. Intensity is how strenuous it is. So this is determined by physics, by G-forces. And then nausea determines how fast that meter fills up, which is also controlled by vertical G-forces, twists, and turns.
Yeah.
So these are all things that you monitor as you're building a custom coaster, or you just have stats for. There are 2 kinds that we have. We have non-tracked rides and tracked rides. Non-tracked have a predetermined footprint and function very simply. Think merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Ferris wheel. That kind of shit.
Yeah. Tracked rides, I think, can technically be any size and shape, determined by the available space and the money that you can put into it. These can either be pre-designed, or you can use the track editor to lay them out. And you can save those designs for later as well. So one of the things that I did was just made a very low footprint, moderate excitement steel coaster that was relatively cheap, and I just kind of saved that to use as an early cash cow, right?
Yeah. Having a standard easy ride you can build is really good.
Yeah.
There are cosmetic options that kind of change how it operates, and options that change how it operates. So like the number of cars, whether you want to wait for it to be full, number of rotations, max time in the line, or minimum time in the line, etc. There's also just aesthetic things as well. You can use theming. And this is one of the things you unlock through research as well. So like if you want to have, the future theme or the minecart theme or things like that.
Yeah. I love the abstract theme, and I love the Jurassic theme. Medieval's not too bad either.
Very weird. I did medieval for most of the ones that I could do.
Yeah.
but the abstract theme is very strange.
Hey
Very
kids,
strange.
welcome to Tronland.
Yeah, it just
But Daddy, everything
here's
else is
polyhedron.
it's a decrepit farm. Ride the polyhedron.
Yeah, ride the D12. And this is also where you can put in the name, as we mentioned. There's a little marquee, a little electronic marquee. So like this is endlessly fun to me.
You can also get details about the reliability and information about uptime. And this is where you set the parameters about how often it should be inspected. It is always worth, the old aphorism, ounce of prevention, pound of cure, right?
And you want to make sure you have a wide variety of rides. You don't want to just build the most optimal ride, because there'll be people who like that's too exciting for them. There are going to be people who come to your park who just want to eat burgers and go on the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of provide for all.
Yeah. God bless those wimps.
Yeah. Let's talk about these gentle rides.
Yeah. The rides for the Flanders is.
Yeah. I just want to participate. These are things that are non-mechanical. So you get mazes, which don't do. They're nightmares and they just take forever.
Yeah. It's just a way
golf.
It's just the mazes are just a way to keep people out of the rest of your park for a very long time.
Yep, you spend a couple months in the maze. It's basically the Lady of Pain whenever you create a maze in this game.
Yeah.
Mini golf, also a trap.
Yep.
Like a lot of these are just, they're not good for you. But things like the Haunted Mansion, haunted house or crooked house, things like that, Ferris wheels, carousels, bumper cars. This is all fine.
Yeah. That crooked house is a really good investment, actually.
Well, it takes no maintenance. It's just, you don't even have to like have a handyman there. Just you put it there and it makes money slowly. It's like a low yield, high reliability like investment.
Yeah. And something that is never worth it, just a constant source of unhappiness. Ferris wheels, man.
I love how it's so realistic though, because if you put them for more than one rotation, people like get bored on it. And that's been like, you ever been on a Ferris wheel that makes you go over it twice? It's like, fuck, man.
Well, you also have to there's the boarding and unboarding process too. So
yeah, not often not worth it.
Yeah.
There are also tracked gentle rides. So these are like car rides along these like railed pathways. So these are just like little gentle, like the tour, the tram that goes around the park, that kind of thing.
It's a small world, but outside. Yeah. It's worth saying that there are, especially in Classic, which has a bunch of the expansions and stuff, there are things that look like different rides, but they're functionally the same thing. So there's you ride a car around the pathway, and then there's also the bike pathway kind of thing. Yeah. Mostly the gentle rides are good for filling space between larger rides, kind of like with the thrill rides.
Yeah, agreed. So you're going to have, as we mentioned, those thrill rides. Thrill rides are really high intensity versions of these. So instead of like a merry-go-round, it's like that pirate ship that goes up and down.
Yeah.
These are good for money.
Yeah.
And this is a good way to start, I found.
Yes.
Like one coaster and then several of these and several gentle rides can keep you going for quite a while, actually. And there are tracked versions of these, which are like go-kart tracks, and these are fun to design, even though I didn't find them to be great for money.
Yeah, they take a while.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. But they're fun to create. It's fun to make a go-kart track.
Yes. Yeah. And these will keep the thrill seekers happy as they move between the coasters, which is nice. Transport rides, I never really fucked around with them unless they were pre-existing on a map for a scenario. These are like monorails. The thing that is frustrating about these is that because of the guests and the way that they behave, they're not necessarily going to get on them intentionally, saying like, all right, I want to ride the disemboweler that's on the other side of the park. I can hop on this monorail and ride it 2 stops and get there. They'll just say, ooh, monorail. They'll ride it until they get bored. They'll get off, and then they will just see what else they collide with when they get off on the other side.
Yeah. They're not very smart about it.
No.
So I also had pretty poor luck with those, and similar to you, I had poor luck with water rides as well.
Which is weird. I love water rides in real life. I dig me a log flume.
Best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a log flume is incredible. These were added later in the series in RollerCoaster Tycoon 2. And they take a long time to ride, and they're hard to make people happy with.
Yes.
I find.
Yeah. So, I mean, on one level, they're just coasters, so some of them can be your log flumes and your like raft rides or, dinghy rides. Famously, the dinghies will explode if they fly off of the tracks, which is something I'm glad they never fixed, which is good. This can also be anything that you do in a natural body of water. So you can either like lay down bumper boat tracks, kind of like a water version of the go-karts, or just like set up a dock for people to do swan boats or rowboats and things like that. The problem is these take a very long time. The excitement is generally lower than an equivalent cost anything else. And they just kind of end up being a suboptimal use of your space unless you're doing it like a role play server and saying this is a water park, god damn it.
Well, or, my preferred way to play this game, which was just making something I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Which the game doesn't encourage, but like I would, have like a mini golf. I talked about mini golf being bad, but I would be like, well, if I was going to a theme park, I'd want there to be mini golf.
Shit, dude, mini
so
golf.
I'd make one, even though it just cost me tons of money, is impossible to upkeep, and took forever to complete. Same thing with water rides.
Yeah,
like they don't really work for you, but I thought they were aesthetically fun.
Yes. Like the thing that this would actually a thing that they could add, which would make the simulation more complicated, but would give water rides a purpose, is to actually have the weather matter. Right now, the temperature, as far as I can tell, doesn't seem to really impact people. But like, if people got way too hot riding the regular rides and they said, ooh, let's go to the water park portion, kind of like if you were at Kings Island or whatever, or taking the walk from Cedar Point over to Soak City, then that would make sense, for people to cool
Typhoon
off.
Lagoon.
Ooh, yeah. But that's just not the case. And so water rides end up being an aesthetic consideration because log flumes are good.
Yeah. Your big money makers and the big selling point here are roller coasters. They're huge. They bring in customers. They make you lots of money. And you can build your own or just choose from a staggering amount of pre-made designs.
Yeah. Many of which are based on real rides,
And there are different categories of these. So there will be like different subclasses, like a wooden coaster operates differently than a steel coaster, operates different from a suspension coaster. Things like that.
Yeah. And you can kind of shop through them, like within those individual subsections for the pre-made ones. Generally, I would buy whatever my budget allowed for, but also, some of these are really gigantic and you might not have an easy space to put them in, right?
Yeah.
So you would have to consider, okay, the cost of adding this doesn't just involve the components that go into building it. There's also the demo, right? Getting rid of stuff that's in the way. So that is a consideration as well. But it's a way to get roller coasters into your park that doesn't take, hours of planning and fiddling, and trial and error and stuff like that. Generally, the ones that you buy are going to work. They're going to have they come with a baked in excitement and intensity rating. And they generally you won't have a suicide coaster. Usually.
One of the things I love for the pre-built ones is you can toggle on and off whether you want to buy the scenery as well. So if you're on a budget or if you're going for a specific theme, you can just get the bare bones of it and then design your own scenery and theming and pathing. So if you do get a death, this is bad. It tanks your park rating. Nobody wants to go to the Devastator. And rides that suffer crashes will be cursed. So people are not as into going on that ride because all those kids died on it.
Right. Yeah. Which is reasonable. Probably one of the more reasonable decisions any of these make.
Turn anybody onto merry-go-rounds.
Back in the day, when I was playing this, the assumption that we operated under, that I was unable to confirm this time as I was playing it, was, is it possible to make a coaster that launches somebody over the edge of the park so they don't technically die in your park and it doesn't count against you?
You can't make a coaster that does that, but there is a way to make an exit for your ride be underground at the lowest tile.
Oh, so they fall into the void?
Your ride, yeah, they just fall into the void, and it doesn't count towards your park limit. At this point, they don't count as deaths. So all those people die, but you can literally just make a roller coaster people can't come back from.
Yeah. Except the one that has the ring so they can fight the four kings.
Yeah. The one-way roller coaster I call the lament configuration. And just really, really great stuff there. But you have to do it by making them underground.
Right.
So
yeah. The most common cause of crashes is something called the station brake failure. This is both common and also really devastating because it involves a full car that is finishing the ride running into the back of a full car that is starting the ride. Like the brakes going into the station fail, so it doesn't stop. So you can potentially have two full carts running into each other.
No good.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about this, I think, not interesting, like something I think that actually is kind of contrary to how this game wants to work, is that it's really hard to roll with these failures.
Yeah.
Making a roller coaster is such a huge investment in this game. And if you get a crash and that roller coaster just now has, a status of like, that's the one where the kids died, there's basically no way I'm not just going to reload my game.
Yeah.
Unless it's been forever. Like this, and it kind of reminds me of it, like not having the undo button. Like this game is too hard.
Yeah.
I think in terms of how to actually play it, like the rigor is unnecessary and not additive in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it's cool that crashes can happen, but they should have made them less devastating. So I could have a cool story. Like I have this cool little emergent story. Like, oh yeah, we had to close down, Dr. Minecart's Thunder Powder ride because, all those kids died. And now that's in the abandoned section of the roller coaster that we can't afford, park that we can't afford to take down. But it's not like totally sinking my entire game economy.
Yeah. I mean, the ideal thing, what I would want is the ability to spend money, like a special marketing campain, like crash free since, yeah, yup, crash free since '93 or something like that.
Just again, like that Mr. Show, the Devastator, or whatever. Like 2 whole minutes underwater.
No, but just like give me a way to pay money over time and so to speed up the reputation of it, yeah,
or like, see, I'll go on it.
And then you send your body double on it.
Safe. Yeah, it's perfectly safe. And then just you get whatever entertainer's been underperforming.
Yep.
And you just
you get into the ostrich suit, and then the other entertainers in the ostrich suit, the old ostrich switcheroo, and then send him to his uncertain fate. Yeah.
Just for money.
Yeah. So, talking about roller coasters, there are way too many types of roller coasters for us to list them individually and still have this be an entertaining kind of show. And I mean, ultimately, the thing that is different between them is cost. One thing, steel is much more expensive than wood, right? But different types have different parameters that they have to fall into, right? So, a wooden roller coaster can't necessarily have really steep banks on its curves, right? Stuff like that. Whereas like a steel coaster that goes like suspended along a pipe will be able to have like corkscrews and stuff. Just you're picking your limitations that you're getting, and also the aesthetics of it, right? Like
the aesthetics are a huge part of this. Like having all these very different types, like a lot of these will be similar in how they're performed for you. The way they're different is in how they look and what they're like to build as like kind of a physics challenge.
Yeah.
But if you're playing mostly for the management section, like, you can get a lot done with looping coasters.
You really can.
And they're cheap and they have a small footprint a lot of the time and like pretty good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is for like enthusiasts, to go really deep on this stuff or high level play.
Yes.
So there's different types. There's little baby coasters, starter coasters. So junior coasters. Big shout out to Rolling Thunder in Six Flags Great America. The Wild Mouse, the mini coasters, things like that.
Yes. There are larger but still relatively simple coasters. Your classic wooden ones, mine coasters, which more easily go underground. Side friction. The side friction ones are crazy. You look on the wiki and you see, okay, there's really only like one of these in the world. I have no idea why they decided to put them in here. It's side friction because nothing is holding the car onto the track. So if you send it over a hill too quickly, it will just fly off. It will become a missile.
Yeah, and it's extremely cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got coasters that are built for specific movements. These are oftentimes steel ones. You got your loops, you got your corkscrews, you got your twisters, stuff like that.
Yeah. We got these kind of different positions you could be. So standing coasters, big. Remember when Superman the Ride came out? The first that was a big deal. Ones that swing, so the suspension ones, reversers, lay down coasters like Superman, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
And then there were little gimmicky ones like the steeplechase or bobsled, and then like the free fall, like the drop coasters, things like that.
Yeah, I got a lot of mileage out of making the turbine, which is relatively simple and relatively low cost. It's literally just a power launcher that will. It's just a track. It's shaped like a U. It power launches up. They go up until they reverse, and then they go all the way back down to the other side of the U. Go up to the top backwards, and then down to the down back to the station. Perfectly thrilling and also very cost effective.
Yeah. Yep. Let's talk about designing coasters, which I did not do as much of as I wanted to do.
Yep.
I'll admit, I found it clunky and not intuitive basically to do it. But it is, one of the pillars of why people play these games.
Yes.
It's like, we talked about The Sims. Some people are doing this as lifestyle porn. Some people are doing it as a game. Some people just want to make houses. This is you just want to make houses of this game.
It's time consuming, it's complicated, but it's pretty rewarding when you get something to match up, even if it's a shitty coaster. Like getting the car to make it all the way through is an accomplishment. Yeah, it's fun. It's worth doing just to engage with that part of the game, even though it is entirely optional. Yeah. The reasons you might do it are just for fun, to make something more optimal than what actually exists, or because you have to fit a specific footprint that you have on your park. Yeah. The interface is pretty bad. I'm not
this
gonna
is
lie.
the worst part of this.
Yeah. You're doing it section by section. So you start out and then you say, all right, do you want the next one to go straight? Do you want it to be like a slight curve? Do you want it to be a slight banked curve, a steep curve? You're just kind of like picking the direction that it's going to go. And then you commit to that, you buy the next section, and then you make your next decision afterwards. So you really do have to plan. And the thing that makes this made this most prohibitive for me wasn't just the lack of an undo, but revisions are super hard. Like if you make something that is non-viable, getting to the specific section and tearing that down is one thing, pretty difficult, but also expensive because you're going to have to change like everything after that. So
it's such a nightmare. It just really, really just needed to, when you designed a coaster in this, you should have gone into like a VR zone where you experimented with like virtual money.
Yes.
And then just plopped the thing out, 3D printed it into existence or something. And obviously 1999, this was before that was a thing. They're going for some kind of realism, but boy, oh boy.
Yes.
And there are really harsh physics rules in this. Which on one level, that makes sense. It's appropriate. This is a very dangerous thing that people do, and the engineering involved is what stops people from dying. But it also clashes with it as a video game.
Yes.
In some ways, like you have to really, really watch out for things. So I think the example here you have in the notes, like a flat curve is a no-no because they give you this lateral G rating, which is a penalty. It slows you way down and then sometimes crashes. So you want to have banked curves, which, if you've rode a roller coaster before.
Yeah.
But the process of learning that in game is expensive and time consuming.
Yes. And one of the main things here that you have to keep in mind that ultimately resulted in a lot of stranded cars is coasters coast. Like this is, you you achieve speed by turning potential energy into kinetic energy. So you have to go back to your kind of like physics class and think, all right, my drop will fuel this motion, and I need to make sure that there is another drop somewhere along the line that keeps things going, because accelerators or chain tracks that will raise your car up a slope, A, they're slow, and B, they're expensive.
Yeah. And again, stuff that from riding a roller coaster. But it's interesting to think about it from the other side.
Yes.
So you also need to kind of troubleshoot your ride. You can, like, at these, as you do the test, you can watch these little graphs as the car goes through it, and then try to do the process of fixing it to get your best possible rating. Your top speed, your vertical and lateral G's, etc. And you're just trying to make this have a high enough intensity and variety and excitement to make this exciting and good, and also fill whatever niche you want to fill and make it as cost efficient as you can.
Yes. So many factors that you're trying to balance, which is fun for me a little bit, but it is not the simulation that I am here for.
Yeah, it ended up being something that I'm glad it's there, but I was happy to use mostly pre-builts.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that ultimately comes out of this that I most enjoy is the aberrant coasters, the ones that are meant to be kind of like stunts. I mean, see Mr. Bones Wild Ride. Should we explain what Mr. Bones Wild Ride is?
Yeah, we have to explain what Mr. Bones Wild Ride is, because I don't think I didn't know about it for most of my life. It's incredible.
Yep.
It is a ride that has, and you can go on YouTube actually, and somebody remade it in RollerCoaster Tycoon 3, so you can ride it. In that game, you can actually do the first person view of the thing. But they made this ride that is just this long, monotonous, flat ride. It's not the record breaking Marcel Voss one. But it goes on forever. But the theming is like this top hat skeleton who's welcoming you to the jungle, and it's just this slow, endless ride.
Yep. Takes 4 in-game years to do. The meme, like this is somebody on 4chan who did this, but like the meme is screenshots of like a bunch of people's thoughts, which is, I want to get off Mr. Bones Wild Ride. and then when you get off, you can make it so the only option is to get back on it again. And the meme image is the skeleton with the top hat holding a sign that says "The ride never ends," which is just perfect. It is such a good statement, just on life in general.
It's very, very funny to me. And the video of it in motion stuff is really fun because it has like the diegetic music. Like you can choose which music you have for your coasters. And a lot of meme videos for Mr. Bones Wild Ride just put like spooky, scary skeletons or something there. But when it's actually the in-park thing, it's very funny because you're listening to this like, theme park guitar rock. And you just slowly get far enough away from it as it fades out. And then as you make the turn and you end up near the entrance again, the music kicks up again, and then it just fades out again. Like you're just so far away from the speaker, you can't hear it.
Yeah.
Really, really good. The one that Marcel Voss did, the longest one you can do, involves a thing where there's a feeder ride to it that you have to ride to get on. And then the feeder ride ends up being this really long wait. And then you go along at 1 kilometer per hour through the entire thing, and then there's a hill you can't crest, so you start going backwards, and that counts as a lap, and you go backwards at 1/8 the speed that you go forward.
Oh fuck.
And it's just incredible, and that car has to do 3 laps before the next car can get on. Like from the feeder coaster, it's really fun. It's worth watching.
It takes what, 100
really
in-game years to complete?
It's like longer than a lifespan. Like they would form whole societies. Like people would give birth and like create new religions and stuff on this ride.
Yeah, it's a whole Snowpiercer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, aside from like the ultra long ones and the memes, like everybody, I was talking to the level guys. I mentioned that we were doing this, and like, how many death coasters did you design? And I was like, oh, not many this time, because I really just wanted to mess with the business sim of this. But like everybody, if you played this as a kid, the first thing that you wanted to do was make it crash, because crashes are interesting, right?
Yeah, similar to drowning in The Sims.
Yes.
Like you're gonna do the kick the dog thing.
Yeah. You can make a ride that is incredibly intense, but if it is way too high, like intensity above 10, even the most ambitious of thrill seekers will avoid it. So
Yeah. Yep. You don't want to do that.
yeah.
So let's talk about some of the scenarios. I did not get as far as you did. I did not, like I said, I just wanted to build stuff.
Yeah.
So I got to Diamond Heights, and then I was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Here, I'm just going to start playing on my own. But they do give you interesting challenges, and we're only going to talk about a few of them.
Yeah. So I got to the Sapphire group. I think that's like the fourth bunch. And even by that time, it ended up being like, you get to the map that's nothing but iceberg islands and stuff. It's like, that's hard. Like, this is a different kind of planning that I actually want to do that is fun for me.
Yes.
Yeah. Like an easy, good one to get rolling on that is, not so much a, start fresh, like Bumblebee Beach is good because it starts you with like an existing successful small amusement park. So you don't have to build your own wooden coaster. Like that one's pretty good.
Yeah. You just expand.
Yeah.
In terms of ones that you have here in the notes that I did that I have strong memories of, Millennium Mines is tough. Because it's kind of your first introduction to elevation, and you have a mine coaster, which is good and will make money. But it's trying to teach you how to build underground, and that's really difficult, even though it helps.
Yeah.
With your rating and everything, I find it really hard. And this is where I would run into things where two pieces of land would look like they matched up, but I couldn't build a fucking path on there, and just lost my mind.
Yeah.
With frustration on that map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good kind of like Green Hill wide open one is Crazy Castle, actually. What is it? Not Evergreen Green Gardens, but like the forest one is the closest
Sherwood
that you can
Forest?
get. Something like that.
Everwood
Yeah.
Forest? Yeah, there's something like that.
Yeah, Evergreen Forest, I think is maybe what it is. Like that is one of the closest that you get. But Crazy Castle is, I think, a little bit better just because it is just a big wide open square field. You have to unlock this one, I believe. So you have to go do a couple of scenarios. But like, if I wanted to just fuck around, this would be the one that I opened up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. What else did I do? It's hard to remember. These names all run together for me. And like I said, I got into just like wanting to make my own stuff pretty quick. I am not not playing this the way that the designer wanted me to play it.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about like what things are the types of challenges,
Yeah.
that exist. So you can just kind of imagine those at increasing intensities, so like things like, oh, you have a higher park rating, a higher guest limit, more restrictions.
Yeah.
And it's all just basically all based, all types of mix-ups for that. Like how far can you take that? The 5 toughest maps in it all take extremes for those things. So like the one, Arid Heights, which I saw, which is really tough, is a desert. You don't have to use money. You just have to make sure your park rating doesn't fall below a certain amount. You have unlimited money, but I think that's the one where you can't advertise.
Yeah.
So that's where I was talking about the hidden park in the desert that nobody knows about. Speakeasy Park. I think that's the restriction for that one.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
Yeah. The one that I made a bunch of runs at that I just barely nearly succeeded at it every time, but always managed to snap defeat from the jaws of victory. Haunted Harbor is one of them. Like that was the first scenario that I ran into. I think this is like at tier 3 or something like that, where space was at an extreme premium. Like you are on an existing very small theme park in this harbor cove. One of the condition is there are these 2 large wooden coasters that kind of bracket it on 2 of its sides that you cannot change. Like, you know, they're historically preserved or whatever, and they break down all the time, etc. But the big thing is they take up a bunch of space. And in order to get more space, you either need to terraform the beach and like bring the ground level up in the water to make more space, which costs a lot of money, or you have to buy lots from around the from around the perimeter, which takes a lot of money as well. And what the game is trying to get you to do is to figure out how to build as densely as possible. And I never could get the guest requirement up, mostly because people were unhappy because it was way too crowded. No matter how many paths I put in.
Yeah, and there's not tons of things that you can do.
Yeah, just something the scenarios love doing is taking stuff out of your control.
Yeah. And that's kind of RollerCoaster Tycoon. You know, at least according to my experience.
Yeah.
Of it. Super cool game, really fun. I makes me want to check out Planet Coaster because they're ease of use things that I would require to go deep on this in my spare time. You know, but as is, like, this is a cool genre, and I like the idea of doing stuff like this for the show.
Agreed.
We got to do what is it, Sim Hospital at some point.
Oh yeah, or do a theme hospital or 2 Points Hospital. 2 Points Hospital is great.
Yeah. That stuff is rad.
Yeah. I love it.
There's Jurassic Park Evolution or whatever, that Jurassic Park one that just came out.
I think that was the same team that did Planet Coaster, actually.
Yeah. Like I'll build a Jurassic Park.
Twist my arm. Yeah.
So
yeah. It's good. The scratch and itch. It was nostalgic, and I don't know, just mandatory COVID times thoughts. Like, it was fun looking at and thinking about these spaces that, even though I don't want to go to, not having the ability to, having the option taken away, it makes me sad. So, you know.
Yeah, it kind of scratches some of the same itch as playing the coin game.
Yeah.
Does, which is really cool.
Yep.
Thanks for putting on the schedule.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. If you have things to say about RollerCoaster Tycoon, and you don't have to limit your thoughts to classic, you can hit us up at Duckfeed.tv/contact. Also, if you have thoughts about Hitman 3 or Metal Gear Rising Revengeance,
Yes.
Do that. And that's going to be by May 15th.
Right. May 15th for those. The deadline for June's game is June the 15th. Those are Hotline Miami, The Witness, and then Super Mario 3D World, which is the premium episode. If you're writing in about multiple games, please separate them into multiple responses.
Yeah, we would appreciate that. If you would like to support us, get episodes early, sponsor a game, there's still a few slots left this year. You can do so by going to patreon.com/duckfeedtv. We have a couple slots in September and a couple slots in November, and that's all that's left in the year. So just know that's what we're looking at. And if you want to get in, I would do it soon. I don't necessarily want to start booking for next January yet.
Yeah.
So if you want to get in this year, do it soon.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to feel then. What I'll be in the mood for.
It's a little too surreal to start looking at 2022 yet. So get in now if you'd like to do that. Otherwise, though, we really appreciate your support.
Yeah.
You can also leave ratings, reviews on Apple Podcast or Podcast Addict, or tell your friends. That is an excellent thing to do.
It is. Yeah. I think that's pretty much everything. I can't think of much else to put in here. So I will say, until next time, watch out for Mr. Bones.
I've got that page open with the videos of that to watch just for fun here.
I want to get off Mr. Bones Wild Ride.
I want to get off Mr. Bones Wild Ride. I want to get off Mr. Bones Wild. Tough shit.
We all do.
Yeah. 30,696 feet of track.
Wanting to get off Mr. Bones Wild Ride is not a personality.
1 month has passed. The passengers are becoming bored.